Welcome. I have Steve Lehman from the Charlottesville Astronomical Society here today to talk to us about the upcoming summer skies and what we can look forward to in the evenings. Now, we had this scheduled as an outdoor activity for June. Unfortunately, we have it postponed, but until then, Steve is going to give us the lowdown of what we will see at night. Take it away, Steve.
All right. Thanks, Kathy. So this time of life as it is with all the social distancing, we had to cancel the observing session because we didn't figure that anybody wanted to be sticking their nose near an eyepiece where somebody else had recently been breathing. So we're hoping that when all of this clears up, we can get back to a real live star party later in the summer, maybe in August. But just, to kind of give you a heads up of what you might expect to see in the night sky over the next month or so. Right now, if you're out in the late evening, or not late evening, earlier evening, you're looking in the west, that bright object is the planet Venus. And as I looked at it the other night in a telescope, we were seeing a quarter of Venus. Venus is an interior planet, and because of the way that the placement of everything works, it has phases just like the moon does. So that's something that you can see, and also about the same time, early evening again, 8:30ish, you have the opportunity to kind of see Orion, that famous winter constellation, kind of taking a dive into the west. It'll show up here for the next week or so and then kind of disappear over the horizon. Looking ahead for the month of May, the full moon is on the 7th of May. So that's going to be an evening where you're probably not going to see much other than the moon. It's called the planter's moon because it's in the spring. And in the old days, before they put lights on tractors, I'm sure that they were out planting as late as 8 or 9 o'clock by the light of the moon. The new moon for the month is May 22nd. So that's going to be the best night for you to be able to see deep sky objects, those fuzzy patches that, especially up at Wintergreen, on the darker places, if you're not on the side of the mountain that kind of overlooks Waynesboro, but the other side of the mountain, you're going to be able to look up, and besides the stars, you're going to be able to see fuzzy patches in the night sky. These are star clusters, galaxies, things like that, and a lot of those things will show up on some of the maps and planetaria that we're going to talk about a little bit later, so you can actually use those tools to plan on going out and looking at these things in the night sky. And most of them show up in a small pair of binoculars. And I'm guessing that most of you living up on top of the mountain have got some kind of a pair of binoculars to look at wildlife. So what we can do in the months of May and June is turn those binoculars to the night sky. Planets are kind of funny this particular summer. Right now, planets are up in the morning. You've got Mars and Saturn and Jupiter kind of lined up in the east to the south in that order: Mars, Saturn, and Jupiter. And they're going to be kind of lined up in that order for most of the month of May and in through June. They won't show up in the night sky until we get to the middle of the month of July. So, if you're up at 5 in the morning, 5:30 in the morning, taking that brisk early morning walk, those bright planets will be visible in the east and southeast. Mars is going to have a little bit of a reddish, orangish tinge to it, and Jupiter and Saturn, kind of a cream color, and they're much brighter than and just physically larger than stars that you might be looking at. There aren't any good meteor showers during the months of June and July. We just missed one this past week, and it was kind of clouded out down here in Charlottesville. We're going to talk a little bit about a chart that you can look at to find out about meteor showers. We've got something happening at the end of the summer. In August probably is the earliest time for that. But
Steve,
yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but
That's
I
okay.
was going to ask you about the meteor showers. Is that something that you really see late at night or early morning? That's not something that we could do as a star party like we've done in the past.
No, star parties. Well, let's step back. Basically, what a meteor shower is a piece of dust or small piece of rock coming through our atmosphere at 16, 17, 18,000 miles an hour, really fast, so fast that it is literally burning up. And something the size of your fingernail burning up high in the upper atmosphere actually shows up as a bright streak. And what these are, a meteor shower is when the Earth, in its trip around the sun, goes through the dust of what was the tail of a comet at some point in days gone by. So the best time to see a meteor shower is after midnight, after the Earth is turned so that your part of the Earth is as far away from the sun as possible.
Okay.
That's why we say midnight, 1, 2 a.m. And then, of course, the weather has to cooperate. And in the last couple of years, at least down here in the lower end of the world, it seems like every time there's a meteor shower, it rains or clouds out. But you can see meteors any time of night, or any time of the year, pardon me. Just get a lawn chair, lay it out in an area where you've got a large view of the sky, and just kind of stare straight up. And you're probably going to be able to see a meteor maybe once a minute, once every couple minutes. Meteor showers are situations where they're more than that usually.
Okay, thanks for the tip. That's great.
Okay.
Awesome.
So I think we've kind of covered, what we might see in the night sky through the month of June. So what I have sent Kathy is a list of some really great links, and I'm going to kind of walk you through those. Did I just disappear?
No, I still have you here.
Oh, good. Okay.
You've not been sucked into a black hole.
I have not been sucked into a black hole. All right, great. So what I'm going to do is kind of walk us through these links that I've given Kathy and tell you a little bit about these things. The first one is a computer program called Stellarium, and she's going to send you links to all these so you don't have to try and copy things down as I'm speaking. Stellarium is probably the greatest astronomy program out there. First of all, it's absolutely free. Second of all, it runs on both Windows and Macintosh. And basically, it's a program that allows you to look at the night sky on any date, at any time. And you can play with things, make things come out, make things disappear, zoom in, zoom out. It's a way to learn about what the night sky is going to look like on any given night. And also, if you're thinking of going out and observing on a particular night, it's a way to plan your observing. So Stellarium can be downloaded onto your computer, and they recently came up with a web version. And if you happen to already know about Stellarium, the web version, if you have a fast enough internet connection, looks an awful lot like the downloadable program. It doesn't have quite as much functionality, but for planning the night sky and checking what the sky looks like for any date in the future or any date in the past, it's great. It's an easy program to learn to use, and I highly recommend it. There are certainly lots of programs out there, but this one is great because it runs on both platforms and it's free. There is a Stellarium version for iPhone. Interestingly enough, I think that costs $2.99. I guess they had to pay the developers to shrink it down to put it on an iPhone. But if you're out under the night sky and would like to find out what those lights above you are, there are lots of different handheld planetaria program that work on both iPhone and Android. There's probably 24 out there. None is really better than any other. I would start out with some of the free ones and kind of audition them, find out which ones seem to be most intuitive for you and seem to work best with you and your phone, and keep that one on the phone so that you can kind of check what things are in the night sky.
That's great, because we do have people that come to the program that we put together for the stars, and they actually are using their phone a lot of time while you're talking about, you know, deep space, and they're using those apps trying to find those things. And I noticed that, you know, several people really do like specific apps for what their needs are.
Yeah, there's a lot of them out there. At one point I had 3 or 4 of them on my phone. The only reason I use Stellarium is because it matches up very much with the Stellarium computer program, and so it's just more intuitive for me to use the same kind of interface for both things.
Yeah, that's a great website. I'll definitely have that up for our viewers.
Okay.
More.
Thing that I wanted to talk about was a program that is a moon atlas.
Yeah.
The moon is our closest neighbor in the night sky, and it's a great object to study both naked eye and with a small pair of binoculars. You don't have to have a telescope. Virtual Moon Atlas has been around for a while. I think it's been around since about 2008. There are a variety of iterations of it. The latest one, they update it about every year. I think we're in version 6 or version 7 now. You can put this on your computer and use it just as a very basic, how do I figure out what that crater at such and such or so-and-so on the moon was. Or you can even download images from the Apollo missions, as well as some of the later moon missions.
Oh,
And kind
wow.
of overlay things to get really great close-up images of some of the features of the moon. So it's again a free program, doesn't cost you anything. The downloads of the extra Apollo and other mission data do take up some space on your computer, but if you've got any kind of computer built in the last few years, you're certainly not going to run out of room. It doesn't take up
That sounds exciting. Yeah.
that much space. So yeah, and again, it's another thing you can experiment around in. If you feel like you've downloaded too much stuff and you don't feel that you need all the pictures, all you have to do is delete them. The basic program doesn't take up much space and works really efficiently.
That's good to know.
The next thing that wanted to talk about is a website or what we refer to as a portal, and it's called Heavens Above. And Heavens Above is a site that helps you to figure out what that stuff is floating around in the night sky. So when you go to Heavens Above, you can set up your specific latitude and longitude, and you can do that either by typing the numbers in, or you can also find the closest major city. And once Heavens Above knows your location, it can help you to find out what the kinds of things you're seeing in the night sky. So we're talking about watching the International Space Station go over. It'll tell you what dates for optimum passes of the space station. It'll tell you what direction it will appear, how high it will appear above the horizon, how long it will take to pass, and where it will disappear.
Can you
Um,
actually type it in and see if it's going to pass through your area in a near future?
so if you know, if you give the program your information and
Mhm.
then you click on ISS, then it will give you the dates where it will pass over your position to be optimally viewed.
Oh, excellent. So I don't have
Now,
to
those
wait
will be
for a newscast.
don't have to wait for a newscast. And because most of you are up on a mountain, it's not like you're going to have to worry about things at earth level blocking. So you're going to have uh, a larger number of opportunities to see the space station. Another thing that's kind of become both an astronomical interest and a kind of bad public relations thing is what we call Starlink. If you've been looking at the papers at all, you know that Elon Musk and his company have started to launch satellites to provide internet access to the world. And in doing so, they're planning on putting up nearly 1,000, might even be more than 1,000 of these satellites to ring the Earth. The issue is when these are launched, they're launched in large groups and they go across the night sky and they almost look like a wagon train of light going across the night sky. You can search for Starlink video on YouTube and you can see some interesting pictures of these. As right after they're launched, they're still fairly close together, and then after a couple of days, they have moved to their position in the night sky. So these are launched fairly regularly. As a matter of fact, there was just a launch. Today's Friday, I think Wednesday afternoon. They did a daytime launch of these. So they're going to be great for internet access, but they're going to be a problem for astronomers because these are going to streak through astronomical images. So amateur astronomers and professional astronomers are going to have to work to be careful to make sure that as they're studying a certain portion of the night sky, one of these satellites is not going through and leaving a streak on their image.
Can they go to heaven above and find out if those satellites are going to be passing through?
Yep. So that's another one. So you can I'll just give you a list of things that you can see. You can see the International Space Station. You can see Starlink. You can see Light Sail. You can see an entire satellite database of pieces and parts of satellites that are up there. When the Chinese space station was up there, you could see it. The North Koreans have a satellite up there. You can figure out where that's at. So there are all these active links that you can link on or to click on, and it will show you days and times where you can actually see these things pass over. Most of these satellite passes happen in the early evening because what happens is just after the Earth rotates so that the sun is around the corner, so to speak, that sun is, the satellites are high enough above that the sun is glinting off of those, and
Right.
the angle coming down to see you're seeing the reflection off of the solar panels.
Gotcha. That was an interesting site. I enjoyed looking at that one.
Yeah, and it's it's a portal, so there are just so many other things that you can do. It talks about eclipses. There's an interactive sky chart. You can find out all sorts of information about the planets, comets, asteroids, constellations. It's really great. It's been around for a long time.
Okay. Then you had a couple of other good sites too that I enjoyed.
Yeah, so there's a publication called The Year in Space. It's published as both a calendar and a desk calendar, and it goes day by day and lists both astronomical and space events. And it's loaded with great Hubble Space Telescope images, as well as a lot of NASA images of past space missions, current space missions. And if you go to the Week in Space link, it will list the weeks events day by day. Sometimes there's just one or two, sometimes there's a whole list of them. And there are hot links. If you click on a hot link, it'll take you to more details about the event. And you can look into the future. On the left-hand side of the page are recent weeks and future weeks. And you know, I have one of these, a hard copy of the calendar in my office. And as a matter of fact, this is kind of what it looks like.
Yeah.
And there's always a great image, either a NASA image or an ESA image of something in the night sky. So you can certainly get the hard copy of the calendar, but also you can access this just by going to the year in space and then clicking on the week link.
That's great. It's a nice tool to have.
It is. It's a really great resource. Another one that we talked a little bit ago about meteor showers. The American Meteor Society has a page that tells you when showers are going to be, how to observe them, how to take pictures of them, and just all sorts of resources related to meteor showers. There are a variety of classes of meteor showers. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are 9 major meteor showers during the year. They refer to those as class 1s.
Mm-hmm.
Our next one is in July, the Southern Delta Aquarids, and then the Perseids, July through September. And when you talk about a meteor shower having a title, what that does is it tells you from where in the night sky the meteors are going to be radiating. So when you're talking about the Perseid meteor shower, that means that the constellation Perseus is where the meteors are going to be coming from. And so there's class 1 showers, and a class 1 shower could give you anywhere from 100 meteors an hour to as low as 10. And it varies every year, and certainly varies, you know, if the weather's bad, you got high clouds, low clouds, rain, whatever, you might be seeing less or nothing in the way of the particular meteor shower.
Okay.
Now, the class 1 showers you can pretty much see from anywhere. Class 2 showers are from darker sky sites, and so some of these class 2 and class 3 showers might be visible from, I'm going to call it the eastern and southern side of the mountain, because I know that we get the sky glow from not Harrisonburg, but Waynesboro on the west. But if you want to find out when those are going to be, how to observe them, and all sorts of details, that American Meteor Society list is a great one to have.
Great. I like that one too.
Now, I know a lot of us are stuck in the house day and night, kind of sheltering in place. And how would you like to do some science? Something
Yes.
that might really help a scientific project move forward. I think it's a really cool thing. It's something that I've been doing for years. There are a couple of different kinds of what we refer to as citizen science projects.
Right.
One type of project just asks you to turn over your computer for its computing power when you're asleep at night or during the day when you're not using it. And another type of community citizen science project is one where you actively go to a site and observe and tell them something about what you see. One of the great things that human beings can do is to observe patterns. And so a couple of these citizen science projects involve you taking a look at craters or formations of galaxies. So there are just a variety of cool things you can do. As I scroll down the page here, there are more than I think there's about 20 different things that you can do on this citizen science program page. When you get to the page, the projects are listed down the left, and when you click on them, it takes you to the particular page and gives you more details about it. Everything here is free except the first one, which is called SLU. And SLU is a series of robotic telescopes that you can reserve time on. SLU also has some interesting programs for school kids that they're running right now, where their telescopes are doing some programming where there's an astronomer talking about things that the telescope is seeing in real time. And this is happening because the telescopes are in the part of the world that's in the night, and the SLU program is being presented to American school kids. I haven't delved into any of that, but I did get some information about the fact that they had some of those things happening. But the rest of them below SLU on the list are all freebies for sure. And you can find exoplanets, you can classify galaxies, you can model galaxies, you can find neutron star pairs. It's just amazing all the cool things that you can do. So if you want to get involved in what we refer to as citizen science, this is a really great way to do things.
Yeah, I was very interested in I was actually going to ask you to really talk about that, because the fact that we do have time now to be able to explore other places, and that includes our students, whether they're in class or not, but to keep them engaged in something that's really, it's fascinating. And I was curious in how that citizen science worked. So that link is going to be, that's going to be one of the links that I'll have for everybody.
Yeah, and basically what you do is you go to the site. Some of them will ask you to register. They'll ask you for your email, and they'll ask you to set up an account. And then they may tell you that right now we don't have any data for you to look at. For instance, some of the ones where you classify galaxies or meteors or meteor craters, they put out a set of data, and the people dive into it. And once it's been worked on for a while, then they kind of go into a holding pattern until another set of data comes down. But that's why you give them your email, so that they can let you know when they've got data available, and then you can jump in. And some of them are again real easy things that just using your eyeballs and clicking through while you're drinking your cup of coffee in the morning's a great way to do it. And then other things don't even involve your active involvement. They just want to use the number crunching power of your computer while you're sleeping at night to be able to help them. Basically what they do is they take all the little computers together and kind of put them together like a supercomputer.
Gotcha. I am curious, though, about an event that's going on that I believe I read it, that they're looking for public input, and that is celebrating.
The Sky at Night.
Well, I was thinking about Hubble. It's 30th anniversary.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, so I just bumped into this morning. I knew that the 30th anniversary of the Hubble Space Telescope launching was this week, and when I logged on today, I realized that it was today. So Kathy has a link to share with you that allows you to go to the Hubble site, type in your birthday, and it will show you a picture that the Hubble Space Telescope took on your birthday at some point in the past 30 years.
Oh, that's awesome. That's crazy.
Yeah, it is. And one thing that I always like to let folks know, when you look at Hubble images, they're always amazingly beautiful and colorful. But the thing that most folks do not realize is that when a picture comes down from the Hubble Space Telescope, it's in black and white and shades of gray. What happens is that the astronomers or physicists working with the telescope have an actual Photoshop palette called the Hubble palette.
Mhm.
And they will use various colors to represent temperatures, densities, pressures, whatever they're trying to show with the Hubble telescope. They'll use specific colors. That's why sometimes you'll see two different images taken by the Hubble Space Telescope of the same thing, and they'll be different colors. And you go, how? What's happening there? And it's because the scientists who asked for that image to be taken were looking for different things, and so they colored them differently.
Right, right. I think a lot of especially the with students, they're learning a lot about, thermodynamics and the color, that goes along with different temperatures, as well as gases. Don't they look at the gases
Yep, exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and the colors that are kind of corresponding with them?
Yep,
So
exactly.
it is interesting to have to make sure that everybody understands that it's coming in black and white, but that's what they're looking for. So I appreciate you sharing that at the last minute, that it's today's anniversary.
Right. Today's the anniversary. And an interesting thing, I put on my Facebook page this morning, the link to that. And two of my Facebook friends have a personal connection with the Hubble Space Telescope. One worked for a publishing company that was working on a book for the telescope when it was first launched. And another one was actually working for NASA when the telescope first launched. So it was kind of fun to realize I had that personal connection.
Perhaps we should do another video of just the Hubble.
Yeah, that might be great for a future one. There'd certainly be plenty of material.
Yeah, and did we cover all of the links that we thought that would be of interest for everybody?
I think we did. As you look down the list, you see one that I missed?
No, again, I was, really pleased with the, like I said, the citizen science, Heaven Above Us. I will have all of those available for our viewers. I just wanted to also point out to our viewers that you, as a volunteer for the society, you've created like various telescopes and kits for teachers. I was just curious how that.
So I'm involved in two projects. One is called the Cluster Telescope Loaner Program. It stands for Chandra Loans UVA's telescopes to educators. Astronomers love to take letters and make them into phrases. This is a program that's run by the astronomy department at the University of Virginia, and we loan telescopes to public and private school teachers, middle school through high school in the state of Virginia. So right now I've got about a dozen teachers who unfortunately are working at home with their students, but they've got our telescopes that they can use with their students. And that works by semester. Projects managed through the university, and Dr. Ed Murphy or myself would be the contact for that for the next school year. The other project that the Charlottesville Astronomical Society has is a program called the CAS Future Astronomers Program. And unfortunately, we've had to put a hold on this because of the fact that all of the contact is basically one-on-one, face-to-face kind of thing. But what our program has been doing up until early March was to give a telescope, a really nice brand new telescope, to a student in the 4th through 12th grade. If they will take the 3 hours to learn to use it, and we'll teach them how to use it under the night sky. And then we hold meetings with all the kids and their parents, and we have tours. We toured the Fan Mountain Observatory last year. We have guest speakers who come from the university and from the National Radio Astronomy Observatory. So it's a real fun kind of a club for kids grade 4 through 12. Again, unfortunately, right now, it's kind of inactive because we can't meet face to face. I've been sending folks information, kind of like the things that I have been sending to you.
Well, and of course, like you said, since we are social distancing and it's kind of tough at this moment to do things together, at least we have the tools that you gave us, our resources, what we can use to look for the night sky, when to look for it, whatever, celestial body that we want to look for. And then, of course, they can always contact me. They can contact you if they have any questions. But I think this is a great way to let people that have the time can be out at night on their own and be able to look for some items. So I really appreciate you coming by and talking to me and talking to all of our viewers about just the summer night skies, and we'll keep our eyes on the sky.
Yeah, let's hope that the weather cooperates.
Well, thanks, Steve. I really
All right.
appreciate it.
Thank you, Kathy.